Hello everyone and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Fix YouTube channel and to another episode of Eddie versus the Algorithm. My name is FPL Phillips, or Eddie, and today I'm going to be bringing to you the latest installment in the series where I'm taking on the Fantasy Football Fix AI generated teams predicted to score the most points for each game week of the season, with my own free hit drafts put together myself to see what is better over the course of one campaign. Can a man outscore a machine? So far I've been doing pretty well at that, but the algorithm did pull a score back in game week 5. But before we get into having a look at the team for game week 7, let's have a little bit of a quick recap as to how things went down in game week 6. And this is the algorithm side, and it scored a pretty respectable 78 points. However, I did see quite a few scores higher than that milestone. So 78, not too bad at all. Bruno Fernandes pulling some serious weight in the midfield alongside Mohamed Salah and Bukayo Saka in there as well. Two Brighton midfielders who did not show, so didn't pick Matoma, the right one. The Pascal Gross injury news kind of came after these teams were put together. But Botman, 12 points off the bench. The algorithm definitely wouldn't be complaining about that if it was a real person. And then Anderson, 6 points as well. Very respectable, adding to that total of 78 points. The defence fared pretty okay as well. The Brentford clean sheet not coming through was really what let it down in this side, if anything. But nitpicking, to be honest, 78, a pretty respectable point score. Leno's 10 points unfortunately sat there on the bench whilst Flecken's 2 takes up the starting 11. But my team, anyway, did I manage to beat that total of 78 points? I did, in fact, and I scored 93 with the team I put together, largely thanks to that double Newcastle defence of Botman and Trippier, who I did start both off. I didn't have to get any jammy points from the bench. However, I did still get some jammy points, as I went with Pascal Gross as well, and Matty Cash came in. My only real punt and kind of major differential in this side being Edouard, who didn't pay off, 2 points from him, but thankfully the rest of the team, Salah, Phil Foden, who I went with, who the algorithm didn't, and then some other players as well who the algorithm did have. So, you know, Estepinian still scoring 6, Bukayo Saka on 13, Alvarez, the other one who didn't really come through, another one who I brought into my own personal side when I've had them in one of these sides. So yeah, not didn't work out too well, that one, but still very happy with that score. And of course now that makes it 5-1 to myself over the algorithm so far as things stand this season. So very happy with that, very happy with the lead. Let's see if the algorithm can pull one back as we head into game week 7 and a double game week where things are going to get pretty interesting. Let's have a look at the algorithm team. And as is always the case with a double game week, the predicted points totals do look a little bit healthier. 74 predicted points, but of course last week the predicted point scores were outscored by quite some margin, being a pretty nice game week for the majority of us, I would say, although it was a bad week to have a bad week, if you get what I'm saying there. We'll start off things with the goalkeeper then, as always, and between the sticks for the side algorithm side this week is going to be Kaminski. So going with that, 7.0 predicted points, pretty respectable decision, I would say. You know, not the end of the world. I mean, starting Luton keeper, obviously, that's pretty much all there is to it. I mean, if you're going to go for a triple up on Luton, which presumably the algorithm is going to, just as I have done, then I suppose he's an alright one to go for. In the defence then is where we're going to see the other Luton defender. So Kabore comes in, who's probably the most obvious pick outside of Morris to go for in this double game week in my view. And he's alongside the two Newcastle defenders who I owned in my side last game week, so Botman and Trippier, predicted on 5.0 and 5.6. So very nice predicted points totals despite only being a single game week, compared to someone like Kabore, who, surviving a double, is only on 6.5. So, I mean, obviously if you own Kabore as your 5th defender, who's normally on the bench, then start him this week. I don't think I need to tell you that. But yeah, Kabore could be a transfer in this week as well, if you've got 4 other defenders who already look pretty good and you can start down the line. But if you've got someone like a Chilwell, like I have, and we discussed him in my team selection video yesterday, then we do need to do a little bit more thinking and maybe rushing into someone like, you know, Kabore. If we're not bringing him in for Chilwell and someone else is leaving instead, then things can get a bit messy, and you want to have the capability to bench Kabore every week on from this game week, basically. But it's a wild card soon for a lot of people, I think, at the moment, around the game week 10 mark, or maybe even a game week or 2 earlier or later. So it's that time where you can kind of take a few punts on game weeks and on players who have nicer game weeks in the short term, and then kind of fall back on the wildcard chip, if you like, and correct things later on and come to a more template draft, maybe I should say. But yeah, anyway, we'll move on to the midfield then and see where things are looking like here. We've got Salah, Bowen, Foden, and then Decore, who I definitely wasn't expecting to see in this side. But yeah, the Everton midfielder has been in some decent form recently. He's been finishing very, very well. That last goal he scored, very much a striker's finish. And we kind of know Decore's got this in his locker. He's becoming one of Everton's main source of goals. So A nice little punt there, and a differential that I don't think anyone's really going to go for, just due to the underlying data not looking too great. But he's definitely been a clinical player so far this season, and we've seen other assets, likes of Heung-min Son, who can seriously outscore their XG and just are good in front of goal, what it seems like the core rate has been as of late. The other three midfielders are definitely more solid, template options who people are looking to bring in, and Jarrod Bowen looks like a great option this week, going up against Sheffield United, who conceded 8 goals, of course, in game week 6. We've then got Foden and Salah with away games against Wolves and Tottenham, respectively. So Spurs still haven't looked good defensively. Very happy with Salah pick. Again, with Phil Foden, you'd think he maybe should start. I think Alvarez, as I've just seen the lineup, is starting in the League Cup tonight against Newcastle. I believe Foden isn't, but I may be corrected there. Just depending on the minute situation, Alvarez getting more minutes in the Cup is probably looking a good thing for Phil Foden. I mean, the fewer minutes he gets tonight, the better. But we'll see that. You guys will know probably by the time you're watching this video how things went down with minutes. And if Foden, got a nice rest, then you'd presume he's going to start at the weekend. But you can never say for certain with Man City, of course. And then finally up front, we're of course going to see Erling Haaland up there, but he's not got the armband. It is Morris of Luton who is taking the captain's armband this week, as we saw yesterday with the top 10 predicted point scorers. So you can go and check that out in yesterday's video if you want to see the full top 10. But Morris does come in ahead of Haaland, and by, not an insignificant margin. 8.1 to 7.0 is quite a gap. And then we've got Amdouni as well of Burnley. So we have got a few doublers in this team that maybe I wasn't expecting. Only the one Burnley asset, the triple Luton. But yeah, on the bench, are we going to see a few more? We have got Roberts, and then we've got Fabian Schär, McNeil, and Trafford, the Burnley keeper, as obviously the second backup to Kaminski. So yeah, that's a pretty interesting side. I would say there's definitely things I would change, and of course my team therefore looks rather different. I put my team together before I even looked at this. But yeah, let's have a look at how my side is shaping up. 74 predicted points it was for the algorithm. My side is predicted 68. 68, I should say. If it was more than the algorithm, then something's gone wrong and the computer's not added things up right. I'm 68 predicted points for myself. And this is my side and what it's looking like. So I've kind of gambled on the Palace attack not looking very strong this season, and even in the game against Fulham, they didn't look very promising, and Eze seems to be struggling a little bit for support. They have scored goals in games, don't get me wrong, but overall they're looking like one of the weaker attacks, and Manchester United could keep a clean sheet this weekend. We saw, that fixture in the League Cup where, they played pretty well, and they managed to keep a clean sheet in that one. So Onana at Crystal Palace at home, I'm taking a little bit of a gamble there, and therefore not going for a West Ham goalkeeper. So I did consider Areola quite significantly, but I've gone with Onana instead. Bell and Kabore are then the two Luton defenders I've chosen to go with alongside Kieran Trippier, so haven't gone with Botman. I've got Aguerd down there on the bench as well, so because I didn't go Areola, it has freed up a West Ham slot, so I've got him there in case he's needed. In the midfield, I have kept Salah, I've kept Bowen as well, and I've doubled him up with James Ward-Prowse. I think the stats with Sheffield United and their set pieces and how bad they are from them defensively are mind-boggling, so, Ward-Prowse is going to be taking a lot of those set pieces. Jarrod Bowen's been actually pretty good in the air from what I've seen so far this season, so I could even see those two combining for a few goals maybe in that one if Sheffield United are quite as poor as they have been in recent weeks. And then I've gone with Odegaard. So I was tempted to go for Saka, but we've got the injury news surrounding him at the moment. So I thought, if Saka's not stepping up to the plate, they're going to have to rely on someone else, Arsenal. And Bournemouth are definitely no pushover, but I could see Odegaard doing well in this fixture. So I wanted to take a little bit more of a punt and go with him. But I did definitely consider Anthony Gordon as well for this position here. So going with a triple Newcastle against Burnley, who, again, have looked pretty poor so far this year as a promoted side. He looks like he'll probably be nailed for minutes now with Harvey Barnes out with a long-term injury. I was speaking to Newcastle fans, interacting with them on Twitter, and they seem to think that Gordon will be, as close to nailed as he can in that Newcastle side. He's like playing off the left last season, seems to have been a bit of an experiment that, isn't being relied upon now. And in fact, he'll probably be subbed on for the man up front in this side, if any, being Callum Wilson, who I have gone with in that fixture. 3.9 predicted points for him. He's alongside Haaland, who's taking the captain's armband over Morris, who is still obviously in my draft. So yeah, Cullen and Cash, the other two on the bench alongside Turner as the backup goalkeeper. But yeah, that's going to wrap up my team and the overall video for this week. Let me know which side you think is going to win down below in the comments. Are you Team Eddie or Team Algorithm for this week? If I don't see you before the game week deadline, which I shouldn't, unless you're going back and watching my other video this week, which was my team selection, then I'll wish you the best of luck for this game week. I hope you all score above the average, and may your arrows all be green. I hope to catch you in the next video. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to stick around here. Until then, I'll see you. Goodbye.